waning of the month of February, a group of almaderos from Galiguera, accompanied by the naveteros of the Sięga, have gone to the banks of the Ara River to prepare together the twills that they will need in the manufacture of the verdugos, that will serve as ties for the timber rafts, or navatas. As they have been taught by the old rafters of the Sięga, these new navigators have taken into account that, as a general rule, in order to conserve the firewood better, all the deciduous plants must be cut in the waning season, and in the cold months of January or February, when the sap hardly circulates. While some select and cut the twills among the vegetation of the riverbank, others are in charge of bringing them to a clearer point, where there are those in charge of cleaning and removing all the dirt they carry. Here we make the packages of 25 in 25, because this way we take better the number of those that we need for the timber rafts that are going to be made, and they are transported much better for later when we put them in maceration in the raft, which they are put until we proceed to twist them, and later to overlock them. With these, take them to a shady area to leave them to soak until they are going to be twisted, possibly during the days of Easter. Now we are leaving them here to dry slowly in a humid area without sun. They don't have to be in the water yet, so that on the day of twisting, they are practically what is so-called soaked, not too dry, not too humid. They are more or less at half the humidity they have now. A couple of months later, the rafters of the Galiguera and Sobrabri meet again in the locality of Las Puña during a day of work to twist the till rope and leave them ready to assemble the timber rafts, or navatas. In a large esplanade next to the riverbank, those people willing to collaborate in the next descent use all their strength to turn the strong and resistant twill rods into fiber. 2 days before the descent of the timber, the almaderos of the Galiguera are going to devote themselves to the assembly of a 3-section raft, or bodies. In a backwater of the Gallego River, where the old almaderos probably carried out their work, the verdugos have remained submerged in water until the moment arrives for the overlock. With their activity, these new almaderos of the Galiguera try to remember the hard work that their ancestors did, with the great quantities of trunks that every year arrived loose to this same area of the river Gallego. The 12 timbers that will form the timber rafts have been binded on 2 trunks, forming a homogeneous surface. With some oak tree branches, the axes are prepared on which the verdugos will have to be overlocked. Once the verdugo is twisted, this plant is a twill plant. Once it is used, it is called verdugo. To give it flexibility, what is done is to overlock it there, as you can see, twisting it on itself, and then it is rolled up on a vertical dowel of those of rods, which will be used later until it is practically flexible. It is like a rope. As you can see there, a piece is left without being overlocked, which is the piece of the capital, that the piece of the capital is the one that will be used to hold one knot over the other. On the angled, aligned, and pierced timbers of wood sits the log of oak wood. The moment arrives to tie with the verdugos each one of the trunks, taking the log inside the tie. Twist, Perico. The secret is to twist and tie. The wood that reached Murillo de Gallego by flotation came from all the headwaters of this river in the Tena Valley, and from some of its streams, such as the Oren, the Besa, the Guarga, the Garona, and the Asbon. The work of overlocking the verdugos and trying each one of the timbers with them to the transverse log requires strength and skill. As each of the 3 sections that will form the timber raft are finished, they are left on the riverbank to proceed later to the final assembly. The next day, the work continues on the riverbank. The first thing that the almaderos must do is to soak well the contact zone of the timber raft with the trunks that make of rail to facilitate the displacement. One by one, the sections are thrown into the water to tie them together when they are floating. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2. In this timber raft of 3 sections, 2 pointing oars will be mounted, and another one as defender. At about 10 centimeters from the wood adobe are the holes to introduce the rods that will hold each oar. These are two vertical oak poles that must be well secured as they have to hold all the force of the oars during the descent. The ends of the rods that go into the holes must have slightly flat faces so they do not rotate inside. Give me one more pair of the thin ones. A couple more of the thin ones? Yes. When the poles are nailed to the timber raft, it is necessary to make a braid with twill verdugos to give it the corresponding height and to prevent the oar from rubbing against the timbers when in motion. Stand there, Baker. Pushing with the oak bars, the almost 3 tons that approximately weighs each section of the timber raft firmly resists the displacement until it floats in the water. Give me some rope there. The union of each one of the sections with the next one is made with 3 couplers, one at each end and another in the center. The couplers are some overlocked verdugos so that they have flexibility. In each one of the poles are placed the oars, adjusted with some notches that they have on the sides. The long and heavy oars must be well balanced to reduce the effort that the almaderos must make in their handling. Once the oars have been adjusted, they must be fixed with a twine braid to prevent them from slipping out of the poles. With the final touches, the timber raft of 3 sections is ready to go down the Gallego River. The next day, the risk of rain will not prevent the celebration of the 7th annual descent down the Gallego River, and the Galigueras almaderos are ready on the timbers, receiving instructions from the most veteran rafters of the sięga. The rear is simply to keep it from crossing over to the other side. To take it straight? Yes, keep it straight, but let the one in front go where he wants to go. If he says stop, stop rowing backwards to let him go, because you don't let him go. Let him go. Then don't let him cross. If you see that he's crossing, you have to give him the opposite of what you're doing. You see whether the timber raft is going along the wall or not. What you have to look for is to hold on to the line ahead. Hold on. First, the timber raft enters from the front, and from the back, you hold it. The one in the back has to hold on. He doesn't have to do anything else. The oar in the curves, if it gets close, put it inside. Lift it up and in. If you go to a border, don't let it stick to the border. Put it towards the river. Towards the river, it will never take bad. Towards the outside it will. If Eris goes to the left, Santa Eulalia will be to the right. Goodbye. Goodbye, handsome. Back, back. Don't hold on. He's going to hold on. It's going well, it's going well. Come on, Gabby, this is good. It's already out of there. Taking into account that the front rowers go in the directions of the current and the back rower goes with the back to them, to understand the orders in the handling of the oars, and to avoid confusion, the almaderos have substituted the terms left and right by the names of 2 villages located on both banks of the river, Eris and Santa Eulalia. We pass the bridge, always in the current. Is it going well? How is it going, Navateros? Fine. From the back to Eris. Back to Eris. We have to take it by its course, by its side, by the vein, by Santa Eulalia, to the vein. Do all the route, all the drawings that makes the back to Eris. Santa Eulalia, Santa Eulalia. Holding Santa Eulalia. Santa Eulalia. It's going well, it's going well. In the transport of wood down the river, the old almaderos of the Gallego encountered numerous dangers and problems. There were the wares for the mills, which was a great danger for them, and they always had disputes. In fact, there is a lot of documentation of disputes in the Gallego River between the almaderos and the owners of the weirs, because, of course, a timber raft would break the weir very easily. There were always fights between the owners of the weirs and the almaderos. The owners of the weirs collected taxes from the almaderos to destine them, they say, later to the repair of the weir. The timber raft descends through the areas of the river where the currents takes it, and at the speed of the water, already holding. In this type of boat, the oars are used to divert the timber raft to other areas, but to never slow it down. The coordination of the movements between the front and rear oars is the key to steer the timber raft to the desired location. From behind, he's got it right, upside down, to Santa Eulalia. You've got it right, Furman. Santa Eulalia. Hold on. Because of their great length and the position they occupy in the timber raft, the front oars are very dangerous, because if they collide head-on with the stone, the rower could get it stuck in his belly. It is therefore very important to look ahead, to keep the oar raised when not needed, and to watch out for protruding rocks. Halfway through the trip, it is good to stop for a rest, have a bite to eat, and comment on the incidents of this adventure.
Anciano, con este trozo de té vale o qué? A ver, ¿quién más quiere pan?
The trip is developing normally because in the month of May, the Gallego River descends with a lot of water due to the thaw in the Pyrenees. If the water flow is low, the timber raft would run the risk of rubbing against the rocks at the bottom and getting stuck. So far, so good. We'll see until the end of the descent, because until you get to the bottom, you can't say that things have gone well. I have learned that from the old naveteros, from those up there in Sobrabri, and they are absolutely right. You can never speak badly of any other action that has been done at another time by another navetero, because each descent is different. Each person is different. The behavior of the wood is different. Each descent has its own history. It's totally different from one to another. Soft, you've already won it. How was it, Martin, the experience of the first descent? Fine. If there is little flow, it is more difficult. This way, with enough flow, you can go down well. The other way around, down to the shore a little. No, to Eris. There is little water here. Eris backwards. Look, we're close. Do you see? Yes. Ready? Eris to the back. There's a rock. Eris, there's a rock. If the coordination between the leading rowers and the defender is not good, the timber raft runs the risk of not going down in a straight line and starting to cross the river to such an extent that it may even turn around and the rear part will become the front part. All those at the back are holding on. In the middle. There's another one in front. Stay still. Strong behind. Strong in front. At the same time, this is a pilla. What is called a pilla of the back oar, which is only put in a loop on the one that is going to be the defender oar, which is precisely so that the oar, once caught in the loop, is lifted out of the water and does not interfere in the movement of the timber raft when the back oar does not need to be rowing. Eris. Little rowing. Hold the oars. Hard there. Hard. Stay still in the back. Stand still at the back and let's get it out of the front. Now you can give it just a little. Go to the other side if not. Stay still back. Stay still. Pick them up there. Stay still because it goes alone. A little more to Santa Eulalia. 2 strokes. Back to Santa Eulalia. Hold it right there. It's going well. Back to Eris. The descent ends a little below the bridge of Santa Eulalia de Gallego, or Sant'Eulalia, where people wait to see the arrival of the timber raft from a privileged point. A century ago, the unstoppable current of industrialization overcame the dangers of water to put an end to a trade that for centuries coexisted with the mighty river Gallego. With this annual descent, the members of the Association of Naveteros de Galiguera show their disagreement with the construction of any swamp in Biscarruis that would put an end to the rough waters that make this tradition possible. I believe that it has been phenomenal the people, the expectation, and the wonderful river. The truth is that it seems that we, the navigators, have got it right. Right? That is not always easy. Let's hope to be able to do it this way for many years, to see if we can preserve the river that we have among all of us.